Hello and welcome back to the Otakuology Podcast. I'm your host, Otaku White. I can't talk today. Otaku Mike.
Otaku White.
Otaku White.
Hi
Otaku
guys.
Mike.
Hi guys, and I'm Otaku Black.
Otaku Black.
we're Super Sentai. We're Super Sentai characters now.
Oh, this is the Otakuology Podcast. I'm just going to leave that in.
Sure.
This is the Otakuology Podcast. I'm Otaku Mike. With me, as always, is my heterosexual furry life partner, Jen. And we are back again talking about BNA, Brand New Animal, episodes 9 and 10. We are almost done with this show. But we got a lot to talk about tonight, I feel like.
We do have a lot to talk about. I just have to start out saying, though, because I know we like this show. I know it's good.
I mean, it has its ups and downs a little bit.
But I'm tired of watching this show.
Like
it was a lot better when we were doing, like, Delicious in Dungeon and Cyberpunk, because we kind of got a little break in between shows. I was like, oh, good. I get to watch Cyberpunk tonight. Or, oh, good. I get to watch Delicious in Dungeon. And now I'm like, oh, great. I got to watch BNA again. Like, and I don't have to hate the episodes at all. Like, I love them. But
yeah,
I'm just like, I'm feeling burnt out because it's like, whenever you, like, watch a show and you have that anticipation, like, you're going to be able to watch all of it, and you can't.
So you're feeling burnt out on a 12 episode show.
I am. And it's because we're taking 6 weeks to do it.
Are we?
Yeah.
I guess it's almost it's a little over a month, I guess.
Yeah. Month and a half.
Well, I mean, but, yeah, I know.
But yeah. And it's just because I think the thing that's burning me out the most is just how spread out we're doing it.
Well, what do you mean?
You know, by covering just 2 episodes instead of like, hey, man, I'm going to sit here and watch 6 episodes in one go. It's like,
well, I mean, we used to do that.
We did used to do that.
We used to cover an entire season in like one episode.
That's true.
But I feel like we have more to chew on and crunch on, like episodes wise of the podcast.
Yeah.
And we're not like limiting it to like,
no, I agree.
You know, like I know it's not everybody's cup of tea to like go in and like. So I know a lot of people will talk like about like I don't know, like 20 chapters of a manga or whatever, and you know talk about like one episode and talk about an entire show about or an anime or whatever. But I kind of like it like this because you get our honest opinions for each episode.
Yeah, I feel like it's just because we're so spread out with it. You know, we watch it every week versus if we lied to everybody out there and we recorded all in one day.
Oh yeah, okay. No, we don't do that anymore either.
Lying to people out there?
No, we don't record like multiple episodes in one day anymore. Because remember, we used to do that back in the day.
We did.
Remember, we used to do like 3 or 4 episodes.
We still do that, just not on those episodes. We do it if it's like a throwback or like a topic.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. That's what happens sometimes.
Because I remember you were like, hey, you know, we gotta have these episodes in the bag just in case, you know. And
I still believe we gotta have episodes in the bag.
I mean, and we were like, you know, I remember because like we would have like no kid weekends, and we would record like several episodes like Saturday and Sunday.
All right, man, let's record like 12 episodes. Okay.
You know, but I mean, we're talking about BNA episodes 9 and 10. And I feel like we have a little bit of a mixed bag in this one, I feel like.
I agree.
Yeah. But our episode...
I mean, anything's got to be better than episode 7, am I right?
Yeah. But our story starts out with episode 9, where Michiru ends up meeting up with Nazumi. aka the Silver Wolf, even though she's pink. She's like pink and white color. She meets
AKA,
up.
see, I wouldn't even call her the Silver Wolf. I would call her the Church of the Silver Wolf.
Yeah, the Church of the Silver Wolf.
Yeah. Because we got to meet the Silver Wolf last time, remember?
We did. We got to meet Shirou, the Silver Wolf, and learn his backstory. But we pick up after the last episode, obviously. And she's talking to Nazumi, or Desilu is what they call her. Desilu.
You remember this time. I'm so
I
excited.
did remember this time because I watched this episode 3 times because I couldn't remember what happened.
Right. You know, the other thing I was proud about, and it's before we started the show, you said one of the other names like perfectly, and I was like, oh my God, Mike remembered. Oh, Sylvasta.
Sylvasta.
I was like, he remembers Sylvasta. Yay!
Yeah. But she's talking to her, and she's like, there is a silver wolf out there. She doesn't say who the silver wolf is, but Desilu, Nazumi, whatever we're going to call her, she's like, look, I'm a pop idol, basically. I got what I want out of this. I have 5,000 followers, which in reality, 5,000 followers isn't a lot.
No.
It's not a lot.
No, it is
at all. And I was like, oh, that's not that much. Okay. But she's like, be gone. I don't want to talk to you. And we go back to Michiru's little house apartment thing that she's got, little thing she's got going on. Did you notice that there's a giant Tanuki statue in her room?
Yes.
I didn't realize that before.
There is a giant Tanuki. Well, I think they put it in there recently. There's a giant Tanuki statue in her room. And if you look at some of the other like stuff around, it's all Tanuki based. I really feel like it's only because of whenever they were talking about is she a Tanuki or a raccoon, that's what started that whole thing off.
Oh, really?
Because I don't think they had the Tanuki in there originally.
We'll have to go back and look.
So, I thought that was funny because I'm like, oh my God, they're making her room more like fit her personality and stuff.
And she goes back and Shirou asks her like, hey, did you talk to your friend? And she's like, yeah, but don't worry. Like, your secret's safe with me. She doesn't know who you are. And Shirou basically gives her like I don't know if it was like melon bread or like some kind of like cookie or something.
It's always melon bread, buddy.
It's always melon bread.
It's always got to be melon or chocolate bread, okay?
But she gives it to her, and he's like, here, eat this. You need it. You need to eat. He goes off. Shirou goes off, and I forget what exactly Shirou goes off to do. Exactly.
On this one?
Yeah.
You would ask me that.
I don't remember.
He went to go do the research on the area at the docks and stuff for the rhino guy. Because they went and he reinvestigated the prison and he reinvestigated the docks.
Okay, gotcha.
Because remember at this point we know, but he doesn't know that the guy Char. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Char Aznable.
Yeah.
His name's like Boris. I think it is. It's Boris.
Yeah. He doesn't know that basically like that guy, like he hasn't had the tie that there's something going on. The reason why it's going on is because that guy came in.
But he does tie it to him in this episode, right?
Yeah, he does it pretty fast because he's like, well...
Because he goes
that was the only guy that was new here.
Yeah, he goes to talk to Scruff McGruff.
Yeah. Well, and they basically say, like, after the guy visited, that's when the guy raged. So
Yeah. And so after that,
Scruff McGuff.
Michiru goes off, and she's like, I think she's like, I'm just going to get out of here and, like, I guess maybe blow up some steam. I don't know. But she sees Nazumi get like put into a car, and she has flashbacks of this happening before.
This part irritates the shit out of me.
Why? Why does it irritate the shit out of you?
Because she thinks like she got manhandled and put in the car when she went willingly. Like clearly, when we do this flashback for her, like people lock their arms around her, they carry her off, they do all this.
Yeah.
This one, she just willy nilly like climbs in the car, like, oh yeah, I gotta go do that because she's getting kidnapped again. How are you getting kidnapped if you willingly climb into the car?
Well, here's the thing. So she goes off and she's like, oh, I gotta find her. Then we find out that they go to Sylvasta, the Sylvasta Medical Center.
This is true.
And what I don't get is, and I feel like I missed something, or maybe it got cut on the cutting room floor. How did she learn how to turn invisible?
Okay, so this is a good question. Good question. So this episode is actually really good in that aspect because you find out, and we've already been kind of touching on it, that Michiru can kind of change into different animals. You know, so far we've seen her basically get like the gazelle legs. We've seen her be able to get the gorilla arms. We've seen her do the bird eyes,
cheetah,
and the wings. Yeah, she did the cheetah legs before, and in this one she gets the cheetah legs again.
Wait, did we miss the part with Jackie? Jackie's in this episode, right?
No, I think it's in the last episode.
No, because Jackie's in this episode because she throws the stuff and she goes to get it in the slums.
She throws the necklace.
Yeah, and Jackie shows up and he's like, hey, I got semi-purified water.
Yeah.
Which I love that part. That part was the funniest part in this episode.
Yeah, I like the whole thing. No, you're not going to steal from people anymore. No.
He's like, no, I don't take flowers from people.
Yeah, you're not stealing bicycle things, right?
He steals bicycle seats
and then resells them. Yeah. No, you're not doing this right. No, you know, I feel like I've become like a new human being by like following the churches. So what are you doing? Well, I'm putting in flavored water.
No, he uses his water purifier to bottle water.
Yeah, but what's the name he calls them?
It's like semi
water flavored, or
water purified something.
Pure, yeah, something like that. It's just like water in the title twice, and I was like, "What the?"
She's like, "But that's wrong," Michiru says, and he's like, "No, it's not. I mean, this water tastes really good."
Yeah,
he's like getting it from. No. He's getting it from like the dirtiest water imaginable.
Yeah, right.
Which if you look when he pulls out like the filter and the water purifier, there's like a set of dentures in there.
I don't want to talk about it. He pulled that out, and I thought I was gonna be sick. I was like, ugh. The hell is in this water?
But anyways, we forgot about that part.
Yeah, we did.
Go ahead, talk about how she can turn into a chameleon.
Well, so she turns into a cheetah, and in this one we actually get something else special if you catch it, because it still seems like it's a cheetah, but she actually turns into a house cat.
Does she?
Yeah, so whenever she speeds up, and remember she's jumping at the side of the building, she's a house cat because her arms and her legs both change, and her tail changes into that, so she's able to climb up the walls and stuff like a house cat.
Okay. But I mean, cheetahs can climb too.
Yeah. Well, so then she gets to the point of all that stuff, and she's like, "Okay, I got to sneak in, but I gotta figure out how to do it. I got to sneak in. I can't be seen. And she like psychs herself up or whatever.
Yeah.
And she turns into the chameleon and then goes invisible.
Yeah.
So, but this is the first one we see it when she's outside of Sylvasta for her to sneak in. And then she does it a couple more times after she sneaks in.
Yeah, but my thing is like, usually like we've seen her turn into this before, but like she just randomly turns into a chameleon.
Well, I think it's like whenever she was locked in the cage with the kids in like episode 2, like she wished for something to be different, to be able to do all this stuff, and like, you know, she reference of Yu Yu Hakusho, she, you know, arms get longer, you know, did that to save them from the crane. It wasn't exactly like she knew that she was going to be able to do all that, but she ended up doing it on a whim because at that point she needed something like that.
Yeah.
So I think whenever she gets it in her mind, that's when she gets part of these powers, is because she's like, I need this to fit the best situation. Almost like Darwin from the X-Men movie, you know, like
yes, Darwin.
I mean, he has to die first, but you know, like, or whatever, you know, he has to be attacked first or whatever. Hers is more of a, she can will it into existence, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she's like, okay, I gotta sneak in through this truck, I gotta do this, and that's how it ends up. She turns into a chameleon.
Yes, and she gets through like the different areas, and she finds Nazumi. She's hooked up in this like machine, and there's all this stuff is going on, and Michiru freaks out.
Yeah.
At this point, she's like trying to rip stuff off, and Nazumi's like, "Oh, why are you here? You know, stop, Michiru, stop!" You know, and she's like, "No, I gotta save you. I gotta save you. They tried to take you."
And then the guards bust in.
Like the guards bust in, and things go awry.
Can we talk about their weapons of choice real quick?
Their long sticks with an electric rope.
It's a dog catcher's pole.
Yeah. That's
I was sitting there looking at it, and I was like, the hell? You basically have like what you would use to catch alligators, to catch dogs, to be able to catch any animal to keep them away from you, and you mixed it with a cattle prod, okay?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting there looking at this, I'm like, okay, like, I understand we're in an Animal Planet area, but like, what the fuck is going on with...
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
I thought it was a little tasteful. I just also thought it was really funny that, like, they're like, oh yeah, you know, beastmen are like supposed to be humans too, or like subhumans, and then it's like, yeah, but you know, under control. I'm really waiting for that temptation when either somebody needs like Scruff McGruff to get confused or whatever, and pulls out a fucking squeaky toy.
Oh god,
and all the animals go, a squeaky toy, let's go.
Why haven't they pulled that joke yet with like all the cop dogs?
I don't know. That would be hilarious though.
Or with like, even with like Shirou.
This is true.
You know? Because he's technically a type of dog.
This is true.
But yeah, she gets captured, and we find out that Alan shows up, and he's like, hey, no need to like restrain her. And she's like, Michiru's like, no, like, you gotta stop doing this to Nazumi, you know, you don't need to be testing on her and stuff. And then we find out, plot twist, we find out that Nazumi is actually working with Alan.
We're actually in bed together.
Or they're actually in bed together.
Yeah.
And
no, I just meant that they were plotting together, not that they were.
I mean, they could be
doing anything.
They could be, you know, doing it. You don't know.
He's like in his 20s and she's in her teens. That's way off basis.
Yeah, but isn't like the age of consent in Japan like really low?
I think it went up to like 16.
Isn't it like 16?
But it's still looked down upon.
I know it's still looked down upon, but you know, and Michiru is like, "What the hell is going on? I don't know what's going on. You know, you gotta stop this." And we find out the secret origins as to why Nazumi and Michiru have the beastmanitis.
Yep.
When I got to this point in the episode, I got so disappointed.
I know, especially when you texted me this, you're like, the hell did they just do?
I was like, they just She-Hulked the main character. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, so in Marvel Comics, Bruce Banner has a cousin named Jennifer Walters. And Jennifer Walters ends up getting into an accident. And I believe Bruce Banner is there too. He is the only blood type match for Jennifer. And his
Yeah, because they're related.
because they're related, and his blood gets transfused into her, which gives her the powers of the Hulk.
Or if you watch She-Hulk, they have a car crash.
It's basically the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing. Okay, it's just they put her in a car crash. But in this, we find out that some of the Beastmen get some blood mixed up in like a little baggie, and I think it was for black market stuff or something. I can't remember exactly.
So yes and no. So the Beastman blood was supposed to be going somewhere else. I think it was the black market in town. And it got mixed up because they fell off because Sylvasta's headquarters on Anima Island is kind of out of jurisdiction.
Yeah.
For them to be able to do all these other tests. And so whenever they did that, they made this extra blood for or have this extra blood for basically humans. So then since they were short on blood supplies, they actually send it and all that other jazz, and it got cross contaminated because it got put in the wrong sampling.
Yeah, and they got blood transfusions because they got into an accident.
Yeah,
a car accident, I might add. They got into.
I didn't even think about that. That makes it even worse though with the She-Hulk part.
Yeah, I think they one of them almost got hit by a car, and the other jumped in the way or something like that. I can't remember exactly.
I don't remember this
in the anime, and that's how they ended up getting their beastmanitis, by contaminated blood. And yes. I was like, how fucking lame is that?
Right. Accident.
I texted you this morning and I was like, I can't believe they just She-Hulked the main character.
Was it today? I thought it was yesterday.
It was today.
Okay.
And you're like, buddy, we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we do have a lot to talk about.
And I was just like,
there's a lot of stuff that happened in these two episodes.
I think it would have been kind of cooler if maybe they had experimented on humans. But
there's a darker incentive.
Yeah, I thought there was kind of a darker incentive almost, but oh hey, we accidentally misplaced some beastman blood.
How bad would it have been in this car fiasco that whoever was driving the car was a beastman and the blood got mixed in whenever they got hurt?
Maybe I don't know, but
then it would be She-Hulk stuff from the show though.
Well, I was just like, this is lame. I don't like this explanation, at all.
Yeah, so this is another part that I am very confused of with this, because how much blood would it take to do that? And my other thing is we have, off of previous history, given that it is in this anime, that humans and beastmen used to do stuff together. They did the fighting thing.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'm confused about is you can't tell me that there's not anybody that liked furries or something.
Yes.
And didn't ever sleep with anybody. And there's not some kind of
hybrid?
Thing. There's not some kind of hybrid or latent, DNA somewhere or something like that. You can't tell me that didn't or has never existed.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that trips me up is because why include the whole thing of, well, if beastmen sleep with beastmen, it doesn't matter which one you are. the child comes out to be one or the other of the parents. Okay, well, what if it happens with a human? Are they beastmen or are they human?
I
Is
don't know.
it 50-50 sometimes? Like, this stuff's already been explained. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But as far as we have from what it's been explained so far, it doesn't make any sense to me that when they got this blood transfusion, that it should have really affected them at all, because we've never been led up to believe that at this point.
Yeah.
So this is also another thing where I feel like, on top of one of the other things we've talked about, which don't quote me on it right now because I can't remember, but remember how we talked about there's something in this that didn't seem like it was as fleshed out as it should have been?
Yeah.
And this is like number 2 of that.
Yeah.
Like,
The episode 7 with the albatross.
yeah. Well, there was that, and there was something else that happened with Michiru that wasn't fleshed out. I can't remember what. There was something that we talked about before, and you were like, well, it would make sense for blah, 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 blah. And I was like, but does it? And you're like, well, I'll have to rethink that, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Like, on that, like, I don't get that.
I kind of feel like it's a tad bit of lazy writing.
So,
in a sense,
I'm going to take that a step further. I think they sat down to write this, and the new episode of She-Hulk came out, which was the first one, and they watched that and go, this would be a great idea. Let's add it in there.
I don't know if that's the case.
I'm going to say that's the case. Because like you said, almost one for one, it makes sense, and all that same stuff happens. So, but, I agree with you to an extent on this. Like, it could have been done differently, and I think it could have been a lot better finding that out, because, like, finding this part out after it's been such a big mystery thing through the whole thing,
it was a letdown.
It was a letdown. I agree with you. It was something that wasn't like, you've been building this moment up, and then you just go, oh, well, that happened.
Whoopsie, we made a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why like the Rhino guy and all of them and the Chameleon guy like brought up that they knew you and blah 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 blah. And like, I don't think like it was as good. And not only that, but like I sent you back earlier, like, we never were led up very much that this car crash was really that relevant.
Yeah, I mean, they do bring it up a couple times.
It wasn't ever anything that really seemed like it was important.
It was only brought up in...
Besides that, their friendship mattered out of it.
Yeah, it was like in flashbacks occasionally, and occasionally like, Michiru would look at a picture where they were in the hospital together.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, that to me just doesn't seem like it should add up.
I mean, because like after the car crash is when they turn into beastmen.
Yeah.
But yeah. And like, kind of like, basically like, hey, help us out. We're going to work through this. We're going to find a cure. Alan says for the beastmanitis.
They don't even do that with Michiru. They just tell her, hey, keep your nose clean and don't get in our way.
Yeah. And we'll give you the cure basically.
Yeah. So, in the essence of that, like, while I feel like this episode was good, it was good in that it was good that we finally found this stuff out or whatever. I really feel like, and I agree with you on that, it was lazy writing on somebody's behalf.
I mean, I give it like a 3 out of 5. I gotta be honest. Like,
I'll stick to a 4, but because I mean it's hard for the stuff with the albatross episode, but
no, I get it.
I do feel like that this episode, even though I enjoyed a lot of things that happened in it, was also a letdown.
I very much feel like the plot kind of thickens with this as well, with Nazumi working with Alan in a sense, and like being more of an awkward divide between Michiru and Nazumi.
See, and in that essence, I really felt like we already saw shit like that coming.
Yeah, no, we did, and like
because
it was.
where we didn't get this thing of them being in the hospital, which we should have,
Yeah,
there were enough parts that you could already tell this. Whenever Nazumi saved him at the thing in the Albatross episode, whenever at the end of the first uh, Church of the White Wolf, before they actually got to be accepted into Anima City,
yeah,
like he came and he talked to her. Like we have these different little alluded places, and you're like, okay, that's not that big of a stretch. Like whenever they did that, and it was supposed to be like a aha moment, I was
yeah.
like I saw that coming like a
I
mile away.
did.
Like
I did think it was funny after they basically have their car ride together and are kind of reminiscing and stuff like to themselves.
yeah,
Like Nazmi ends up going back to her place, and Boris is there, and he's like, "Oh, you know that the Tanuki girl won't be back. I'm for sure of it." And he's like, "Oh, there might be, you need to close the window because there might be a cold." And Nazmi says basically, "I'm gonna have somebody else like do my managing because you're creepy and weird, and I don't like it."
yeah.
And
She's
he's
like,
like,
and coming into my room unannounced.
"You're coming into my room unannounced is not cool."
Yeah, yeah,
And I was like, because his sister was like, "Oh, I'm not a creepy guy."
yeah. That was comical, but
It was comical. And then we get the scene at the end where Shirou is talking with Michiru and stuff. And he tells her, "Hey, you know, I told you to stay away from Sylvasta and the Church of the Silver Wolf."
yeah,
And he asks her, "Are you with the Silver Wolves now?" And she's like, "No, like I still like believe in my friend, but I don't believe in this like false religion,
yeah, yeah.
basically, you know."
Well, and they have this little spat, which I hate this going back and forth, where they're like, "You're a human. No, you're a beastman. No,
Yeah,
you're
and like he's like, "Oh, well, like if you become a human again, will you stay in Anima City and this and that?" And she's like, "I don't know. Like I love Anima City, but you know, I miss like my family, you know?" She's
yeah."
homesick, basically.
Which that also makes me think too, like, how do they get transformation powers if they like the blood had to come from one creature?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't make any sense that they're able to change into all these other creatures either.
Maybe unless it's because it mixes with the human blood. I don't know.
I don't know. And then the other essence of that is, wouldn't they be the same then?
Yeah.
See, a lot of potholes in this. Okay, like
Yeah.
Swiss cheese,
I
Swiss
really
cheese.
I really feel like they should have went with like maybe like Michiru's dad was a Tanuki.
Yeah, I mean, I would have enjoyed that a little more if they were like, oh yeah, well, she actually like, or like like an ancestor, like her grandpa or something
Yeah.
was something, and then she has more of these powers or whatever than Nazumi because of Nazumi's not an actual beastman or doesn't have the
Yeah.
blood,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, like where these two episodes kind of end at, I honestly feel like this could be like the ending, and I don't understand what they're going to give us more to chomp onto for the next two
I
episodes.
don't know. Like I'm very curious as to how this is going to end
Yeah.
in a sense. But let's move into the next episode.
Yeah.
Let's move into the next episode we got going on today. You
We
know,
got
and it's
where our mink,
Mink Mirai or
yeah, yeah,
Mira,
gets in an argument with this horse guy.
which he's upset that he doesn't have a full box of cigars. There's just a few on the top, and to make it look like it's a full box, but it's actually a box of carrots,
Yes.
which
And it was
was
in the picture.
yeah,
I felt like this is great because to me it seemed like scammers on eBay.
Yes, it does. It does. Yeah.
So, I'm going to sell you a picture of a PlayStation or a PS5 for
Well, the
$300.
thing is, like, she didn't actually lie because if you look in the picture, you can clearly see the carrots.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like on eBay, if you have some of that stuff, it's a
Yeah.
picture of a PS5, and they put it and people bid, and it's like $300. It's like, no, in the description, if you read, it's just a picture.
Yeah.
Like literally, that's what it is a picture of a PS5, and you're like, the fuck?
Which is
You
funny.
know?
Like, there was one I saw that was really funny, which people thought it was like Toy Story 3,
Yeah,
but it was actually like the insert or like for like a Blockbuster thing.
yeah,
Or like you'd be like, oh, here's where Toy Story 3 would be at the store, but it's
yeah,
not, you know.
yeah.
But people would buy it and think it was the movie.
Right,
And the guy was like, read the description. I remember that
right.
one like vividly.
Yeah. I mean,
But,
some people are dirty that way, though.
but yeah, like, so she ends up running away because he ends up hulking out for no real, like, he gets angry and he hulks out. Which he doesn't get stabbed with anything or injected with anything. Which I was very curious as to how and why he transformed.
Because he transformed because of the anger stuff.
Was it?
Yeah. Now, I really don't know the difference between this horse guy and our rhino guy.
Uh-huh.
If the vial that was given to him was something that triggered it, or if it was like rhino pheromone or something that just pissed him off, like the smell of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any of that.
So I remember
But
they injected it into him.
the other guy,
Yeah, the rhino. They injected into the rhino. But this
I don't
guy
know.
already had it in him.
Yeah. It's going to be like the thing from, what is it? Not Legends of Tomorrow. What's the Marvel one? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh.
Where they had the fish pills, and that's what triggered like your pterogenesis process.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like,
Oh, jeez.
we've been secretly giving it to you in your food, and now we just need we need you to get pissed to trigger it.
Bringing it all full circle to Marvel.
Totally, yes.
But yeah, she ends up running into Shirou and Michiru, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" She's like, "Oh, I don't know why this horse guy got mad. Bye, see you later." And that's the last we see her for this episode.
Yeah.
That's the last we see her. And Michiru and Shirou jump into action and do the same exact thing that they did with the rhino. They take him to a warehouse, beat him up. They come to find out that these weird little robot spider things.
They take him to the same warehouse.
Do they take him to the same warehouse?
Yes.
Oh my god, I didn't even notice that.
Because they fixed it back up and they dropped him through the same little window thing in the roof.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, and I was like, why?
Why would they use the same exact plan?
Exactly. After it was rebuilt or whatever. I mean,
Yeah. But they beat him. Like, they want to figure out what's going on. These robots show up to take the horse guy away. Shirou didn't kill the horse guy to begin with.
Which, let me ask you this. When the robot things first came through the floor, what size did you think that they were?
I thought they were like really small.
I thought the same thing.
They had really bad depth perception,
because we never have a thing where they're close enough where you don't realize that they're big.
No, I thought they were like really small.
I thought they had so many, and there were going to be like 20 of them that got a hold of the horse for them to go on, and then through almost this whole fight, like that's what we're led to believe.
Yeah.
In that with the bullets, with everything. And then finally, like, whenever they actually get a hold of the horse, I'm like,
they got
as big as the horse. The hell?
Yeah, no, they from the way they're drawn, they look very small.
The way that everything's done in it, they look really small.
Yeah, so I don't know if there was like a mishap with animation or what.
We have nothing in this to make a comparison to the size or anything. They don't put them close up to any of the characters yet.
I
They're
guess
not
maybe the only thing
besides.
we can go off as size is the hole in the ground.
We don't even have that. The hole in the ground could have been any size.
You know,
We don't have that. We don't know any of that. The hole in the ground, we're just led that it could be any size because there's no indication. We don't even see them close enough to any of the shipping containers or the boxes to say, hey, they're closer, they're bigger than those sizes. Like nothing in this is compared to what size it should be until
yeah,
we get to the point where we see it grab the horse.
yeah, and they get
And if,
shot.
and if some motherfucker out there tries to argue, well, the bullets that hit Shirou were actually, no, they didn't look that way, okay?
I think the bullets that hit Shirou are like actual bullets.
They're ball bean
Really?
pellets. Yeah.
I thought they were like actual bullets
No.
because they went into his skin.
Yeah, they're big metal balls.
And they also shot like syringes at them.
Yeah, and then after you see him sitting there and he does this little hill thing and they all pop out of him, you realize how big they are.
Yeah.
But whenever we see them shoot him originally, they don't look that big. They look like the size of a regular bullet. And I was like, oh, yeah, these things could have like little Gatling guns on them. No, the guns are actually bigger than Shirou by himself. Like, this is one of those other instances. Like, I love the idea behind this. I love that these robots are in here. I love this. But whenever you're telling me the size of stuff and you come out with no comparison originally, and then you want to go, oh, yeah, no, those things, like, the size of those guns, those bullets do not make sense.
No.
I'm sorry to say, because the way that they came out and the way that the guns are drawn on them, those things would almost be as big as a fucking bowling ball.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying.
And then when they use the rockets, you're like, oh yeah, no, those bullets are the same size as the rockets.
Yeah,
but they're not.
I get it.
Yeah.
But Shirou and Michiru end up. I think don't they end up jumping down the hole?
They after the things grab the horse and they leave, they do jump down the hole
And
they end up following down.
Yeah.
And they go back to Sylvasta.
Yes.
Which, I'm just going to tell you this. This is another complaint of mine. And it's because we did both these episodes. And from the last one, the previous one, we keep fucking going back to fucking Sylvasta.
So I love this gag, though. I love this gag.
Every episode, we go to Sylvasta. Every time.
I love this gag in this episode where Michiru's like, look, I got this. We can sneak in. I've already snuck in before. And they get in there and they automatically get surrounded by bad guys. And Shiro's like, I thought you fucking been here before.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, like, I like it. I just think that this move is overplayed at this point.
I mean, I think they've gone to Sylvasta every episode since episode 2.
Somebody has, yes.
Yes. Which, I mean, if Sylvasta isn't the big bad, I mean, who is,
Oh, no shit. No shit. Like
spoilers.
And the other thing is, out of this, like, I know some of the shit that we've been watching.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk, all that, like, sure. Most of the stuff is rated, like, teen, M. I feel like this is rated G. I mean, sorry to say that. Besides the first episode, we really haven't had, the last episode where the rhino stuck the horn.
Yeah.
Besides the first episode and that little thing, we really haven't had anything that's been quote unquote gory.
Yeah. I would say maybe PG-13.
Well, and those are the only 2 scenes. It's like whenever you get that whole thing when they're like, hey, we get one cuss word.
Yeah, we get one F word.
Yeah, and they go, okay, well, we get to do that, but the company's telling you, well, no, we actually get more. We're trying to shoot for more, and everybody in the crew, cast and crew, just agree we're only using one F word.
Yeah,
Like we're trying to get up to a teen, and everybody is just like, oh, somebody's just gonna say fuck once, like,
yeah.
like, yeah, I feel like there's so much stuff they're trying to do with this, and it's falling short.
But they end up getting captured. We end up finding out that there are no beastmen other than them in this building. Well, who works there? Who worked there?
Yes.
And they get brought up to Alan, and we come to find out that Alan's been working on something. We also come to find out that maybe Shiro's remembering of history is not all that it's cracked up to be. Maybe he planted some memories in his head, like Wolverine or something. Like, we find out that Alan is actually related to the people who fought Shiro's like city
Clan.
clan,
Yeah.
which drives Shiro up a wall.
Right. Well, and I feel like in that instance, we do have where that explains a lot for us, being what everything has been told so far.
Yeah,
and
which I do think it's a very good reveal. Like for him to be connected with that somehow.
Yeah.
I think is really cool.
For Shiro or Alan?
For Alan to be somewhat connected to Shiro's past.
I felt that was pretty cool too. Now, the fact that through all these different things that we've been seeing Shiro and how he's been crazy and some other stuff like that, I have a problem with that because now we're seeing him flip out and they're kind of making Shiro look like the bad guy.
They are making him look like the bad guy.
And like, and I feel like it's in a different sense than just Alan pissing him off. Like Alan pissing him off is one thing, but the fact that now Shiro like is the one that all these things that they're talking about the beastman going out of control.
So go with me on this.
Okay.
So Shiro is like Captain America.
Oh God.
And remember when Civil War and when Captain America, him and Tony have the disagreements about the registration, and then like I guess you can maybe even say like Shiro's kind of maybe a little bit Iron Man. I don't know. But like, and Iron Man was like, he killed my mom. And all shit was lost.
Oh yeah, kind of,
yeah. I feel like Shiro has no other choice but to become the quote bad guy in this sense.
See,
I don't know if that's a very good analogy.
See, I don't know if that one works either. I will agree with you, but sticking with Marvel, I feel like it would be better to assume it's like in the same movie where Black Panther's dad got blown up.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's this vengeance thing that happens.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the better analogy of this. Because of like all that other stuff. Now, is there this whole stigma that, because of years of whatever, and then, humans acting like assholes for 1,000 years? Like, I could see that.
Yeah.
But the other thing is Shiro's never given anybody a chance.
Which that's brought up in this episode.
This is brought up in this episode. But I feel that way as well. And I also don't understand how we have never seen circumstances like that shit before.
Yeah, because they do bring up that they basically are trying to control the beastman population
Yeah. Yeah.
and possibly wipe it out.
Yeah. And all these different animals have had different places that they were able to live in
Yeah.
and do this, and now they're all have to come to Anima Island, and
They can't coexist is basically what they say.
yeah, because they don't have room to spread out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is one of the things I feel like, again, another thing that doesn't seem like fruition, like it doesn't make a lot of sense, is why have there never been any circumstances like this before? Like, there's got to be more than like, hey, just Shiro's clan like went out of control. Like, there's got to be other instances
Yeah.
in 1,000 years. There's got to be other instances where this happened. And I mean, why do beastmen have such a bad name to begin with?
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's got to be more than, oh yeah, beastmen are bad because XYZ. Like, no, like if they used to train together, used to do all this other stuff, it makes no damn sense.
Well, they even brought up like how could the humans have like beat the beastmen?
Yeah.
If like the beastmen supposedly had like an advantage over the humans.
Right. Well, and for Shiro to not understand that, I felt like was another problem in writing as well, because like he brings it up. He shows her.
Yeah.
He shows Michiru when they go to the bank for the first time, where we have the goat guy and the little bull guy or whatever, and they get in a fight, and it's all, fuck you, man. Yeah, I was here first. Da-da-da. Like, we know that. Shiro's told us that. So for Shiro to forget that that's even like a prevalent thing is something that I have problems with.
I think,
or the mayor.
I think in this instance, Shiro is solely on like protecting beastmen, and for them to like, okay, to relate this to something Marvel again.
Okay.
I feel like they X3'd it almost, like X-Men 3 with the Cure, and how some of the X-Men were for the Cure and some of them weren't for the Cure. And Shiro is not for the Cure. Shiro is basically like, beastmen are cool, beastmen are great, beastmen are the best thing ever.
So he's Brotherhood. He's
Brotherhood, basically.
X-Men.
He's Brotherhood. You can say he might be Magneto at this moment.
Oh my god.
But yeah. And I feel like that's why Shiro, and plus you wrap it up with there's that history with Shiro's clan.
Yeah.
And stuff, Obviously there's unresolved issues there. And I feel like it was just a big old melting pot. You take the two things he cared about, his clan and Beastman Island, and it just blew up. And Shiro is now possibly not saying he is. I feel like Shiro's also kind of being played at this moment too.
So, going off another Marvel reference.
Okay.
In this essence of what we have here right now, I don't exactly know how he could be so stupid to the fact of any of it, unless he basically Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hydes it.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say I feel like this is more of a Moon Knight story at this moment, that he himself doesn't know when he changes forms.
Are you saying he has split personality disorder?
Yeah. I'm not going to go to the extent and say he has split personalities, but I am going to touch on, I feel like when he's in human form, he's a lot more docile when he's in wolf form. Because whenever he does that and he goes in wolf form, he almost always, like, quote unquote, like, gears up in essence of that rage.
I could see that. I could totally see that. But Shiro escapes.
And if we really look at it from like the beginning till now,
Yeah.
has he had anger problems this whole time? Yes, he has.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that we've kind of touched on / seen is that with Michiru, she's got him to be more of a docile puppy with part of this.
Yeah.
Because she obviously saved the guys from episode 1.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that I'm not understanding is how the fuck did we backtrack for him to turn back into this whole thing? Whether Alan Sylvasta has brought any of this stuff up originally on where it is, the clan stuff that got brought up, and all this other stuff. I don't understand how he can remember stuff that humans did wrong to him for 1,000 years and not really realize that, hey, yes, because of who he is, being the Silver Wolf, and how many characters, well, not characters, how many other beastmen he's been able to basically end with the power that he has, and we'll call this in essence right now alpha power.
Yeah.
How him with this alpha power of doing that, how it makes sense for one beastman, regular or otherwise, that could probably kill a regular human being, right?
Look, let's
For his
just
whole clan to be able to be taken out
look. Let's just call it
by a group of humans makes no fucking sense to me.
Look. Okay, look. Listen. Okay, listen. Let's just call it what it is. It's plot convenience.
Hey, let's just call it like it is. I wrote something down. I wanted to make an entertaining story, and I forgot what the fuck I already wrote, okay?
But, like, it is what it is. Shirou goes on a rampage, tries to destroy the cure. He doesn't, because Scruff McGruff and his gang of police officers end up intervening and trying to arrest him. Things don't go well. He escapes. And then we find out that he ends up back with the mayor because there's a warrant out for his arrest.
Yeah.
And we find out through the mayor that she knows about the cure. And I feel like she's very much in a rock and a hard place. Like, she doesn't want to do it, but she maybe wants to do it on people who can't, like, be helped or, are too violent.
Well, Celeste touched on this too.
Okay.
The mayor used to be a what?
A prisoner of war.
No. After that.
A doctor.
A doctor, right. She learned stuff for humans and beastmen.
Yes.
Correct. And at any time, how did she not know about this?
But she did eventually know about it.
But how did she not know about it till now?
I don't know.
You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of things.
Well, Alan could have been keeping things from her for quite some time.
No. I mean, like, just in general. Like, if you're this and you know all these things and all that, and how people can rub against each other and have these fights and everything else, does that make a ton of sense? Now, I do think that it is kind of stupid in the essence of, like, you can't, like, Hulk out per se with the Sylvasta stuff because, they're trying to kind of sort of eliminate beastmen in essence of having the DNA, but at the same time, like, they're sending them back into being human beings, right?
Yeah.
At what point does it really make a lot of sense for Shirou to be mad that there's a cure and also to not look at himself that he just freaked out and ultimately tried to kill somebody, which is what the rest of the thing is going on here in town.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
I mean, there's just a lot of plot holes, I feel like this, that just don't make a lot of sense, especially like, we had this stuff happen. We've seen Shirou basically when they had the war where the mayor, first was found as a child.
Uh-huh.
He killed a whole army,
Yeah.
right? What about the rest of the stuff? Like, at any point, any of the stuff that Alan was saying does make sense, and I understand that Shirou can be mad about it. But going back and thinking about that, like, hey, you almost basically became like a great Saiyan ape guy that destroyed a planet. Basically he destroyed a nation in this whole thing because he destroyed a whole set of regiments and took out a whole army.
But he helped the Jewish naked mole rat.
This is true. But at that time, too, as everything has evolved, and he took out all the stuff when they had guns and things like that.
You could say, in a sense, he didn't necessarily evolve.
Well, you could say that too, but again, with that explanation of how things happened, from back in the day, 1,000 years ago, when all they had were swords and shields, how were the beastmen not superior in that?
Yeah.
Is what I'm
I
saying.
think maybe Shiro's revisionist history might be a little skewed.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think that there's a lot of stuff that makes sense in that turn of events.
Yeah.
Because the beastmen turned on each other. If Shirou can take out a whole army by himself, for every beastman that there is in existence, there's going to have to be a whole army per beastman.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So the calculation doesn't add up of how one army of regular soldiers wasn't able to do that back in the day.
Yeah, I
which
get
was
it.
the original guy of this Sylvasta stuff. You know, and I mean, like, the other thing is, like, are there not textbooks for any of this?
I don't know.
Because you would think that part of the stuff, like, had a thing. Like, I wouldn't just think that, like, the Sylvastas were the only ones that had written history of this.
Yeah, you didn't know. I get it.
So,
But
I mean, there's a lot of continuity in it.
Shirou ends up leaving the mayor. She's on a boat. She's talking about how she's probably going to let the cure go. She doesn't really know, but she seems a little guilt ridden about it a little bit. I feel like,
Yeah.
but he leaves. He ends up meeting up with Flip and the gang, and that's the last we see of Shirou.
Yeah.
Basically,
And then we have the mayor.
we have the mayor, and we find out that she's meeting with
She's meeting with Japanese Prime Minister.
the Japanese Prime Minister guy. We find out that he has a contingency plan too, and he's basically gonna kill all the beastmen.
He's not going to kill the beastmen. They all have to stay on Anima Island, which is going to trigger their end because they're all going to freak out on each other and kill each other.
Yeah. And we don't know what happens to the mayor after that.
Which, honestly, like, with a lot of stuff, I'm sure she just got, like, held captive because he did kind of say that.
Yeah.
But the other thing that is part of that as well is where the prime minister makes a call and we don't know who he's talking to.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we have where we get a thing of Alan and he's talking and goes, "Thank you, Prime Minister."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, well, what pool do we have on all this stuff?
We also forgot that Michiru goes back to her house and we find out that Nazumi's there and she's planning to have a concert in a couple of days for everybody on Beastman Island.
Yeah.
Which I think that's where they're going to release, like, the cure.
See, here's the other thing. I don't think there's a cure.
Do you think they're going to, like, complete genocide?
I think so, because I think he's saying that. What I really think is they're trying to find, and remember, we had all those boxes that got delivered to the government at some point.
Yeah.
Early on, like on one of the ones where we just barely saw Alan for a little while.
Yeah.
I really think what the test was that Boris went and took on the Rhino guy was some kind of almost super soldier beastman serum. that is only supposed to work for a limited amount of time. Now, the reason why it didn't work out the same way that it should have in this is because they caught him ahead of time. They killed him while he was still in super soldier beast mode.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really think that this thing is that they keep saying that they're doing isn't that they're trying to make a cure for it. What they're trying to do is get enough beastman blood to be able to sell it to, like, the prime minister, the Japanese army, to be able to turn into beastmen while the rest of the beastmen are dead for a limited amount of time, to give them this super soldier beastman form, and then they will revert back into their human form. So it'll be like a drug that you use to transform.
I'm going to be interested to see if your theory is correct, because that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
Just saying. That sounds really interesting.
I mean, and it's just putting all the pieces together. Why are there boxes that Alan gave to the government originally?
Yeah.
Why did, Boris, while I do feel like that they are trying to do this whole thing with Nazuna, I really think that when we talked about it before of Boris being the figurehead, Boris has a secondary thing that he understands.
Yeah.
With Alan.
I can see that.
And Alan has his hands in more than one pot that we know of, because of the prime minister, because of the mayor, probably because of Boris, because of Nazuna, because of all this other stuff. And he's pulling on all the strings at once to be able to control the whole situation.
Yeah.
The one thing that I really feel like and sticks out was this whole thing. Like, obviously, they knew about this stuff with Nazuna. They never brought it up before, because why haven't we had an allusion to it until now, where the church came to the island, right?
Yeah.
But remember when we had this whole thing where Michiru fell off of Sylvasta Tower?
Yes.
And Shirou grabbed a hold of her.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we have one that's immortal and we have one that can change.
Yeah.
I feel like between Shirou and her, there's some kind of unforeseen force, and these are the two things that Alan doesn't have control over. He's trying to get Nazuna to be the thing that has control over Michiru, but it's not working.
And Michiru and Shirou, you could say they kind of have control over each other with their friendship.
I know, but I think that that's what's slowly breaking.
Yes.
And especially because of all the lies and whatnot.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm very curious to see if this is accurate.
Yeah.
I'm very curious.
I mean, there's a lot of different stuff that's in that, because the other thing is, like we talked about, how did the horse transform without having the serum?
Yeah. No, like I'm very curious to see exactly how this series wraps up.
Yeah.
Very, very curious about how it wraps up. And I hope it wraps up really well. Like, even though we've had problems with the last couple episodes, like, I hope it ends strong. I really, really, truly do.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, this was a fun episode. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you guys on the next episode, which will be the final episode of BNA.
Yeah.
And if you want to reach out to us, you can do so on our Instagram or Blue Sky at Otakuology Podcast. You can find us on all major podcast platforms. You can reach out to us and talk to us on Apple Podcast or Spotify.
Right.
But yeah.
Also, if you listen to this and you've gotten this far, after we post this on Instagram or whatever, if you reshare it, #ScruffMcGuff, you too could be in the honorable mentions of the episode. So,
#ScruffMcGruff.
#ScruffMcGuff, okay? Don't ask me how to spell that. Michael had to spell it for you.
Gruff McGruff.
But anyway, guys, thanks for listening again. See you next Tuesday.
See ya.